In progress.
Well, hello guys. I'm back, and I think I noticed that maybe uploading videos on Sundays probably is not such a good idea. It could be a subject matter. If you missed it, I uploaded a video yesterday. It was all about Michael Jackson, and what I'm trying to do here is is set the tone of why it's dangerous to make accusations about a person, um, provide no evidence, and then have people tell you that you should believe them. Like it's just a blanket statement. Believe everyone. Believe all people that claim to be victims. Because it bothers me for people to think that really bad people wouldn't take that opportunity to use that against someone they're mad at, trying to get money off of, um, having someone in their family push them to do it, be conniving and manipulative. I mean, literally, you orchestrate something to me that even looks premeditated to extent of years of doing it. But again, so what I'm going to attempt to do, I started with MJ. And what I'm setting the stage for is, again, what I mentioned, where Trisha, makes these claims about SA, and she switched her story so much. She has a history of lying about, every damn thing, from staging marriages to, to changing up stories that involved other people, making accusations about their lives or their history. Listen, it's like I mentioned before. If you know someone has kicked the puppy 40 times, let me know if you're going to be the person that calls them to dog sit for you. Or if you think, I know I'm hearing everybody says that, they wouldn't do it to my dog because they like me, but maybe I'm just going to go with this other person that doesn't have a record of ever doing it. So what I'm getting to the point today is I've had a lot of this stuff pulled, and I'm going to get into the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation because I'm trying to highlight that if you think that people get away with it, like I showed you some articles yesterday of girls accusing guys on college campuses that later recanted their story and said that they were lying. But I proved you how it ruined these young men's lives by having false allegations raised against them. Even though the girls later came back and recanted, it still ruined their lives. And we're talking about college kids. They've done it to Michael Jackson. Again, I'm going to say it again. There was never any evidence produced against this man. The two boys that they highlighted in a documentary, by the way, years after he was dead, which is again disgusting to me. Whenever, like Trisha did, calling on this teacher who was gone, who's dead, who's passed away, and not here to defend himself. If you look at these cases, you'll see an eerie pattern. Okay. But I brought that up with him. Again, those two boys, one of them came and testified for the defense years ago when somebody in 1993 was trying to drag him for a bunch of money. And I'll highlight again, notice how many of these people also file civil cases and not criminal cases. Again, what's the difference between civil and criminal? Civil cases, you can ask for damages. Get money. If you are really hurt and felt abused and wanted a person to be held accountable for their crimes, why would you press criminal charges? Just something to think about. So anyway, I'm going to get into this today. I'm going to show you, I've had permission from Brian for a couple of years. I don't think anyone has done a better job. Again, I like following people that provide the sauce, give me the evidence, have done the digging. And I have done, trust me, my fair of digging in this matter. It is, there's a lot. Hang on a second. If you don't think that there's enough evidence to come over in these court cases, trust me, it's there. You can go read all of these witness statements if you'd like to. There's a couple that are very interesting. I might go over later, especially the one that was Amber's sister's. The woman, she said she had to go. Amber's sister said, "Oh, I had to go sleep on her floor because Johnny, blah, 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 blah." And then the woman testified in a courtroom to completely different scenarios. And I'll tell you something else. If you the difference between having someone go on a YouTube channel and make all kind of outlandish claims versus sitting down in a courtroom, being sworn under oath, and then giving testimony is the difference between serving jail time for being held in contempt or lying, falsifying your statements. There is a reason why it's worth not just listening to what someone puts out on their freaking Twitter page and actually going and reading the court papers. You can see two totally different accounts of something that has happened to this person that will blow your own minds. It's worth giving a damn about the damn evidence. Because at the end of the day, these people don't want to go to freaking jail. And so I'm going to highlight again. I don't think they give Brian enough. This is Brian. He is incredibly average. He is the gentleman I asked a couple of years ago. A lot of people use his content. A lot of people do. And when I asked him, he just thanked me for asking him. He says, so many people use it, don't even bother. So this is him. I will show you too on his channel. This looks just like this. You'll look down here, he's incredibly average. I mean, you're talking about somebody that deserves more subs. This guy has done so much work. He put the map together of his townhouse. But I want to get into this. This is what I'm going to show that Amber Heard's own parents sided with Johnny. I want you to think, if you feel like your daughter has been DV'd, do you think you're going to reach out to the person that she's accusing who has done it and talk about how you don't want to lose them as your son? I mean, common sense here. But I mean, this is deep. I could get really way into this. It just depends on what you guys want to see. He's done a lot of really great work in these videos. But again, what I'm trying to do again is highlight, yes, people will freaking lie. People will lie about someone in college, and people will lie about a class act. I don't know, what do you call it? An A actor, an A-list actor. Yes, people will lie, men and women. So yeah, I'm going to err on the side of evidence, folks. Here we go. I hope you enjoy. I probably won't interrupt much. He's very, very good. I mean, he provides the sauce.
The description. Also, because I've seen comments on Twitter saying these things are just some guy on YouTube saying stuff and that it doesn't make them real, you can always feel free to comb through the hundreds, if not thousands, of pages of documents on the Fairfax County website and see for yourself just how real they are. I'll link that below as well. The first thing I want to touch on is Amber's motion to dismiss. She's now on her third argument or attempt to get the case dismissed. Remember, this is a woman who constantly encourages victims of abuse to step forward and use their voices. Odd for someone who really just wants this case to go away. If it doesn't get dismissed and ends up going to trial, the current date is set for August 3rd, 2020. In the meantime, Amber filed a motion for a protective order. Basically,
yeah, let me highlight this too. As you can't tell, this is from last year. I'm going to dive back into Brian's work because it's some of the best, and I'm trying to offer you up evidence of how this has happened to high-profile people before, and in my personal opinion, and I can also prove with evidence, circumstantial and actual physical, that this woman was full of shit, in my opinion, allegedly, whatever other words you need to hear. We'll provide the sauce to back that opinion up.
Basically, this meant she was wanting evidence filed to be kept from going public, a request which was not granted, with the understandable exception of personal info like addresses and phone numbers. And you might be asking, why would she want evidence to be private? Well, by the end of this video, I hope you understand a little more as to why. Seeking this privacy didn't stop Amber from trying to shame Johnny into dropping everything. Her team of ever-increasing in number and ever-shifting lawyers have attempted several less than professional tactics, but I'd expect nothing less from those who have previously represented the likes of Harvey Weinstein and yet now hide behind meaningful movements like Time's Up and Me Too, while incorporating many of the same tactics used in the past to try to silence his victims. One such attempt involved the use of a private investigator to dig up anything he could find, or even a loose insinuation of a scandal that they could try to attach to Johnny. This private eye is Paul Baresi, and before you Google him, you might want to make sure the kids aren't in the room. He's a former porn star turned private eye and prides himself on making problems go away. In a recent podcast, he described himself as a mercenary and a legman for the recently released from prison Anthony Pellicano, and was quoted as saying, "In the life of a celebrity, or anyone else for that matter, if you want to hurt someone, character assassination is the way to go. And the irony is, it isn't necessary that whatever is said be true. The damage can be done in the mere telling of it." How right he is. And this is the guy Amber hired to help in her efforts of damaging Johnny Depp. Moving on to another set of motions from Amber, she sought to get all of Johnny's medical records, including any involving drug use or drug treatment for Johnny, and, as if knowingly anticipating it, Amber herself. At the center of this is Dr. David Kipper. Now remember that name for later in the video. He's a specialist in drug and addiction treatments. Johnny has already talked openly about his dependency on painkillers and attempts and struggles to get off of them. It would seem Amber's trying to get the doctor to testify on her behalf as to Johnny's drug use. However, a recent hearing transcript gives us a different perspective and seems like a classic tale of careful what you wish for. According to the transcript, Dr. Kipper's name has been added to the ever-growing list of people who have witnessed firsthand Amber be physically violent with Johnny, and not the other way around. Amber also filed a motion to have Johnny set for an independent mental evaluation with a doctor of her choosing and to not be recorded.
This guy don't...
Yeah, remember, and I think about that. She wants him to have a mental evaluation, but she doesn't want it recorded. And again, I can show you another video where it talks about that Dr. Kipper and some of the really nefarious things that this woman was doing while supposedly married to this man that she was in love with, that was going through a lot of horrible things, like losing his mother, finding out his management team had stole millions of dollars off of him. And if you were a caring wife, I don't think the first thing that would run through your mind is to make sure that you scramble to set up your smartphone to try and record him. Yes, history of that as well, which, again, think about it if you're trying to set someone up because you're going to try and take them to the cleaners in court.
Sit right with me, Lois. He don't sit right with me.
If that sounds a bit irrelevant and fishy, I thought so too, and it appeared the courts feel the same, as it was not granted. Worth noting that both sides are to submit medical records and signed HIPAA waivers, of which, as of making this video, only Johnny has signed and submitted. But that didn't stop Amber and her team from saying that he was late in doing so, even though she hadn't at all at the time, and to my knowledge, still hasn't. It also didn't stop media outlets from warping headlines about the trial being pushed from February to August, blaming it on Johnny for being late on submitting his records. In reality, according to Judge White, who is residing over the case, this was not the reason for the continuance at all. Instead, it was granted at the request of both parties because of difficulties taking depositions of people in California, even telling both sides not to manipulate this in the media. So maybe don't believe every article and headline you read when it's written by the media outlets with a one-sided interest in the case. Speaking of documents submitted to the...
I couldn't say that. I think that's worth repeating. And that's my whole point. And I'm going to say this really quickly. Mysterious did a live feed last night, which it made... I'm so happy she came back and kind of, is pushing back against all the negativity apparently that she's getting. And I will say clearly, to hear her talk about people dragging her child into it, please don't stand on some kind of moral high ground if you're going to go after someone's children. I don't want to see any tweets or Instagram posts about how woke you are and how much you're all for these groups and not fat shaming someone or, whatever other cause you want to do, and then go on YouTube creators stream and start threatening their children. Please, I don't gaslight me, because I'll call you ass out. Just like I had someone down in my comments, first negative comment I've seen, have the audacity to talk about my age, telling me that I sounded too old to be covering Trisha content. Now, I'm not a fan of Trisha, but you sound way too old to be covering this. And my comment back to that person was, well, maybe you should be, since you're, throwing a low blow about my age. And apparently the person came back and removed it. I'm not going to put up with that shit here. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. If I'm pissing you off because I'm talking about someone that you like or that you want to coddle, that's on you. Listen, I'm not going to discriminate here, period. If somebody does something wrong and there's a lot of stuff that proves or the allegations seem credible, I'll cover it. I don't give a shit. I don't give a damn.
Media outlets with a one-sided interest in the case. Speaking of documents submitted to the court, it's almost comical that Amber and her team would try to use this as their media campaign. At the time of these headlines, Johnny had submitted nearly 4,000 pieces of documentation, while Amber had only submitted roughly 800. And it should be noted that number is inflated because any text conversations were broken up with each single reply submitted as its own standalone document. There could be a reason Amber isn't submitting a great deal of documents to the courts. That reason could have something to do with Johnny's request for expert witnesses. One such expert witness is Brian Neumeister. He's an expert in the characteristics and verification of electronic data like pictures, videos, text, and emails. An expert Amber has filed a motion to try and prevent from being used in the case, again begging the question, why? And that's not the only witness testimony Amber doesn't want used. Recently, there was a hearing over the dispute about the use of the 2016 testimony of the responding officers on the night of May 21st, 2016. You know the story, when Amber claims Johnny threw a phone with great force at her face, followed by pulling her hair, striking her repeatedly, before smashing everything he could in sight, then leaving. Officers Melissa Sines and Tyler Haddon testified roughly 6 weeks after the incident that on the night of May 21st, there was no sign of property damage or a crime of any kind, including no injuries on Amber Heard. Amber wants to be able to question the officers again, nearly 4 years later, about an incident where no crime occurred, to show them pictures of supposed injuries and damage.
By the way, the body cam footage was released of that when they entered in the apartment. Let me see if I can find that really quick and interject that really quickly. Hang on a second. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, I found it. Here it is. It's on the fly. Apparently, it's from these folks. And this is where she attempted to say that there was a whole lot of, like things were basically destroyed. Wine in the hall, wine bottles broken. There was some stuff trashed. And I don't know, unbeknownst to her, she knows what a damn body camera is on police officers, and I don't know if she thought these were going to be released. But this is to what I'm talking about evidence. This is not circumstantial. This is not he said, she said. This is evidence contradicting a person's claims. And I don't know, Lee, there's no audio. These are the two. This is the person that works there letting them up, because Johnny Depp owned the top floors of this building, the 4 penthouses. He owned all 4 of them, I believe. And ironically enough, he allowed one of Amber's friends and her boyfriend to live in one of the penthouses, rent flipping free. And the thank you he got was that these people tried to testify on her behalf. And then the boyfriend, the woman came back and his story. Listen, it is what it is. There's so much I could dissect on this one alone, because they try to say that the cops, she said, the cops had to stand out there because I was upset or didn't come in. Just go over this. I thought it was important. Now there was supposed to be. Turn this down. That's a little annoying. There was supposed to be wine spilt in this hallway. And they took the pictures of this, Amber Heard and her buddies. Supposed to be wine in this hallway. I didn't see any wine. Look, he gets it again. Nothing's there. Supposed to be about right there. When you saw as they were walking through, there was nothing there. See, and the sad part, I could show you another video as well. Hang on. That's Rocky's boyfriend. One that was living rent free in Johnny's apartment.
You guys had somebody come out
or
here?
condo.
Yes, we did. Okay. I can't remember the names offhand. The card is Diane, maybe. Yeah, we got another call. I don't know if it's related to the same call from earlier or if somebody called again.
Now, I told you guys I would tell you when I'm giving you my opinion. Here's my opinion. My opinion is that they were made sure to, and that brings up a whole nother situation where who called the cops and why the cops were called and da 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 da. If you are trying to, add credibility to your claims, you will call people will call and get a police report. Okay, so a police report will basically timestamp an incident, and it shows that you were in fear enough, you had concerns enough to call the police and file a report. Now, what people should be aware of is that those police will write a report over the incident and why someone has called them. And if you called them to say that there's been domestic disturbance, guess what? They're very visual. Cops are usually very visual people. They'll look around to see if they see any evidence of a domestic disturbance.
We just need to check. When you guys know someone in New York?
They're not basically, they're not gonna like write something up that makes you look good. They're gonna write up the facts of the case, what they see.
Yeah, she probably called twice. Okay. Yeah. You just talk to your wife and make sure.
And he just mumbles with him. I'm just gonna show you really quick how he's him hawing. Let's see, there's a dog that he goes in, he yells at her and says, "Hey, they're here to talk to you." And then look, he didn't even shut the door, pushes the door open and he walks in. Because when they get a call out that there's been domestic disturbance and someone's been injured or whatever, claims that they're injured, the police are going to want to see that person. They're going to want to lay their eyes on the quote unquote victim to make sure that they're okay in a safe situation. What do they think it was going to turn around and leave? Now look, we're paying attention for destruction and it be flung everywhere. Oh, there was wine bottles apparently supposed to be broken right here and shit. This has come back to bite her in the ass. I'm going to say this: Depp tried to warn her. He had a conversation with her and said, "You don't want to do this. You don't want to do this." Yeah, who do you think they're going to believe? You? And I can show you that audio as well. Coming out of her mouth, not hearsay. Look, looking for to be thrown around. Look, the rug's not even out of place. The rug's not even. They're hanging out on the couch. I'm sorry, she up crying to the cops, bawling, boo-hooing. "Oh my God, my husband, he is so good." No, don't see none of that. Dogs don't even look too anxious to have two cops right around. They look at, "Hey, what's up?"
Is definitely not here. He's not here.
Well, that's another story. She tried to smuggle us into Australia and got us held up by customs and got arrested. She did that too.
Probably like 2 hours.
Okay. Yeah. All right, cool.
I'm just showing this to provide the evidence of the body footage showing destruction.
Anything else, just call us back.
And hopefully, I think he's going to get into that as well. And I'll continue on with that. Let's see. No, I've lost my place here. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Here now. See, he's going to get in to talking about. This is what she says. See, I told you to look at the wine here. This was in the hallway where you just saw the police walk through.
They already testified where no crime. Amber wants to be able to question the officers again, nearly 4 years later, about an incident where no crime occurred, to show them pictures of supposed injuries and damage they already testified didn't exist, in order to, most likely, cast doubt on their memories of the non-existent incident after nearly 4 years of other actual crimes and calls. Amber's team says the officers could use their previous testimony as a memory refresher before being questioned again, but did not want their testimony, taken barely a month after the incident, to be used in the upcoming trial. For the record, there has never been, nor is there now, anything stopping either side from questioning the officers again. This motion by Amber was for the sole purpose of dismissing the officers' previous testimony. This motion failed, and the very relevant testimony will be allowed as it should be. Now, to the new evidence.
Again, I want you to take into consideration that she is the one that's trying to have the police officer's testimony thrown out of court. But they're the ones that called them.
I referred to at the start of the video. Some of you might remember this episode of the show Overhauling. Johnny, with the help of Amber's father, David Heard, tricked Amber into believing she was being called to deal with her father, who had allegedly punched this man, David Kalaki, because he had sold off Amber's Mustang in parts and pieces.
This guy and his employees.
This guy did?
Unfortunately, yeah.
And my dad only hit him once?
They had an altercation.
I don't blame him. He killed him.
Before pulling back the curtain and in reality surprising her by fixing it up completely custom. I'm showing you this to set up the next points of testimony and evidence and to add much needed context. Recently, Mr. Kalaki, Johnny and Amber's mechanic...
Yeah, this is why I love this, guys, because he provides the sauce, gives you the evidence. That is what I'm all about. I don't give a shit about these lying-ass people on damn YouTube channels that want to use Facebook threads and Reddit posts as some kind of evidence.
Gave a sworn declaration. In it, he recounts the events of the show. He then goes on to describe his interactions with Amber sometime after the show was taped, and then again after Amber and Johnny had separated in 2016. Sometime after the show, Mr. Kalaki went to the Eastern Columbia building where Johnny owned 5 penthouses in which he, Amber, and another
5 penthouses. Yeah, look at this. Look at this shit. Johnny, her friends.
Number of Amber's friends lived. He was asked by Amber to show her how to use the touchscreen interface for her iPhone that he had installed on her car. After arriving at the appointed time, he waited 3 hours for Amber to come down from the penthouse. And once they found...
I want you to hear that again. He waited 3 hours before she came down. If that's not complete disrespect for another person, I'm thinking that you're an entitled brat. I don't know what is. I don't give a shit if you are a damn Uber driver or on the blockbuster hit of 2021. You don't make someone that you called asking them for their help wait 3 hours on your damn ass.
In the parking garage, they each got in the car, with him in the passenger seat and Amber in the driver's seat, and he says she seemed to be in a happy mood. Soon after they got in the car, Amber said, "Oh, here we are, all alone in a parked car in a dark parking garage. We could do anything in here and nobody would see us." She added to the statement, but he can't remember exactly what words she used as he didn't respond to her comments, only saying, "Okay, let me show you how the sound system works." And some of you might be wondering, what does this have to do with abuse? The answer? It doesn't. However, it shows her true character, and if the roles were reversed, I can't help but wonder if it would be more upsetting to people. While showing her the touchscreen display...
Meaning, you all heard that correctly. If that been a man saying it to her, I mean, where would we be at today with this poor guy? But it's perfectly, this is what I don't like. I don't like these where a woman can get away with saying derogatory, underhanded, demeaning things to men and it be laughed off. And if a man calls it out, then he's a weak P word. But when the roles are reversed, it's like it's the end of the world. Either we're going to call something bad and it shouldn't be done, regardless of your gender or whatever, or it's not. There's no excuses.
Connected to her phone, Mr. Kalaki noticed her phone was already set to a contact, Dr. David Kipper. Being the mechanic for Dr. Kipper as well, Mr. Kalaki asked, "Oh, do you know Dr. Kipper?" Amber immediately became icy, asking, "How the f*** do you know David Kipper?" Mr. Kalaki apologized, but said there was extreme tension as her mood changed and she exited the car before storming away, saying, "It's none of your f***ing business." After Amber and Johnny separated...
Remember, he just asked her if you knew who he was. And again, I want to highlight this really, really quickly. This is relevant because these people are sworn in. They're under oath. They're providing witness testimony. And if it's one person, okay, you can argue against it. They're on a certain person's side. Maybe he was Johnny Depp's friend, blah, 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 blah. But when you have consistent witnesses on both sides, people that knew her and knew him, giving the same kind of testimony, that's how you build up your side, like for character witnesses, basically for that person's character. How did they treat them in this scenario? And again, I'm going to highlight, these people are sworn giving witness testimonies in a court of law. They can be held in contempt. They can go to jail if they're busted lying. It's a lot different than going out on your damn TikTok and making a statement.
In May of 2016, Mr. Kalaki continued to work on his cars and her Mustang. Amber had instructed him to implement several changes and additions to what the overhauling show had done. He did as she asked, and in June of 2016, Kevin Murphy called Mr. Kalaki to tell him to continue to bill Johnny for the work done to his vehicles, but to separate the billing for Amber's Mustang. After doing so, and informing Amber, she became extremely angry, telling him about a financial downturn for her caused by Johnny. She threatened and cussed at Mr. Kalaki, at one point telling him, "You motherfucker, you're screwing me." She told him there was an agreement signed stating Johnny had agreed to pay her bills. After asking to see a copy, which she wouldn't produce, most likely because it didn't exist, she would go on to verbally abuse him using words like f***er, asshole, and motherfucker. She then tried to tell him that she never authorized the repairs to her car. He reminded her of the text and conversations contradicting that. After trying to get him to give her car back without payment, she said, "Johnny's not paying my rent, he's not paying my bills, him and
Again, I'm glad he highlighted this one section, this one comment, along with how she talked to this man. He's not paying my rent and he's not paying my bills. F him and F. This is after this woman has accused this man of some horrendous things. Then now she's mad he's not paying her bills any damn more.
you. Soon after, Mr. Kalaki stopped responding to her abusive calls and texts when during their last phone conversation she told him he was a deplorable piece of Enter again Amber's father, David Heard. In an attempt to facilitate the repairs, modifications, and additions to the Mustang, he sent Mr. Kalaki several text messages. At this point, David Heard was very angry with Mr. Kalaki and Johnny. During a phone call with Mr. Kalaki, David Heard stated, "That f***ing piece of shit is f***ing me too because I'm supposed to get 10% of the money, and without it, I can't produce."
Does this correlate anything with the last video I did about Michael Jackson? This effing, now remember, this is supposed to be the father of the woman that was physically assaulted by this man. Johnny Depp was supposedly allegedly assaulted his daughter. And what does this man come out with? This effing piece of shit is effing me too because I'm supposed to get 10% of the money, and without it I can't produce the movie I was going to make. Does anybody kind of getting down to the point of what this family cares about?
The movie I was going to make. He's ruining my baby girl's career and blackballing her in Hollywood. He would then threaten to kill Johnny, saying, "When I get to him, I'm going to beat the out of him. I'm from Texas and men from Texas carry 45s and Johnny is going to meet the end of mine." When Mr. Kalaki told David Heard that he sounded like he was drunk and advised him to stop making death threats, David Heard told him, "Yeah, maybe I am, and I'm going to shove the whiskey bottle up your I find it interesting that Amber's dad wasn't upset about alleged abuse, but rather the money he felt he and his daughter were getting screwed out of. Perhaps that's because he knew Johnny wasn't violent with his daughter. I know that seems like a bold statement, but hear me out. There's been a number of recent submissions of evidence to the courts in this case. These include text messages between Amber's father, David, her mother, Paige, and Johnny. Let's begin with Johnny's conversation with Amber's father, David. On the morning of May 21st, 2016, David sent Johnny a text.
Now, again, I'm going to remind everyone that Heard is the one that pushed this into discovery. She is the one was demanding Depp's records, his phone calls, his text message. So, because I don't know if this woman's got marshmallows in the brain, but that stuff works two ways. That works two ways. Sure, okay, I'll submit this and this, but you know what? You have to as well. And ironically enough, the things that he submitted showed that her parents were still in communication with him, trying to work things out, trying to make them work things out. Again, with the allegations of he supposedly hurt her. Come on now.
Later that night, Amber and her friends would, in my honest and educated opinion, try to frame Johnny for abuse he didn't commit. At this point, the couple hadn't seen each other for a month following Amber's birthday party on April 21st, when Johnny claims Amber punched him in the face and then pooped on his side of the bed after he escaped her. Amber claimed that Johnny assaulted her after the birthday party, but that didn't stop her parents from continuing to reach out to Johnny. The next text we have from David to Johnny is on May 27, 2016. The same day Amber showed up outside the LA court after seeking a restraining order with a spot on her face which was meant to be an injury from Johnny throwing a phone at her face, and y'all know the story. David told Johnny he was in a hospital bed, but could talk if Johnny wanted to call. This potential phone call would seemingly be referenced later by David. The next text is from Johnny to David. It is lengthy, and at any point if you want to pause this to read them, be my guest.
Oh, and by the way, he had these for years. He submitted them to court because she demanded the records. So it worked both ways. She demanded these. That's the only time he released them. And this is him to her father. How you feeling? Nah, F that. What drugs are they giving you? I cannot believe what's going on. Amber is calling this DV. She submits a picture that says I threw the phone at her. She is putting herself in deep trouble if she continues to perjure herself. Remember, he's messaging her father. Never knows he's going to see the light of day. I've done nothing to deserve this. This is effing sick. I've never been charged nor arrested for domestic violence. She has, by the way, twice. This all makes me sick to my stomach. I worshipped her and have been betrayed by the very love of my life. F it. She K'd me. She K'd it. I guess I was so bad that it was fine for her to leave me and go to Coachella for 4 effing days with all her girlfriends and to not give her birthday to us. Yeah, after she's claimed that he did this, she took a shit on his side of the bed. Yes, she did. And then went to Coachella for 4 days. She was so damn devastated. The festival and her friends were clearly more important than working things out with me. With these lies she is spewing to save her ass in the press, the truth will always catch up. Remember what I said to Tricia? The chickens always come home to roost. Continuing on. And the truth will be a bitch. And I have not said a word. I have 2 witnesses who were in the room when she said that I flung the phone at her. Absolute effing lie. She wants a divorce, she gets it. But the world will receive the truth. And if she is caught perjuring herself, which she will, Australia could reopen their case against her in investigation whether or not she has filed a restraining order against me. Man, cruel and unforgivable. I've done nothing but love her anyway. You can have it, brother. I hope she is happy now. That Australia thing was about where she smuggled those dogs into that country. And again, there's the emails, evidence, folks, where she was asking people to falsify documents to the government of Australia so she could get the dogs in the country. And her father responds with, the lawyer told her she had to, or she would have no place to live for 30 days. Does that sound rational? The lawyer told her she had to file press charges against him, get a restraining order, claim that he had hurt her because the lawyers told her to, or she wouldn't have a place to live. Yeah.
I'll be highlighting parts to reference key moments along the way. Johnny is obviously upset about the false claims of domestic violence, saying that Amber is perjuring herself, calling her claims sick, stating he has never been charged.
Sorry, I jumped a little there for some reason. Hopefully I'm back at where I need to be because y'all know how I am with the editing. If not, I apologize.
I don't know of the second time, but I do know she was arrested in 2009 for physically abusing her then-wife Taja Van Ray at a Seattle airport. Amber would go on to call the arresting officer, who witnessed the assault, homophobic even though the officer is lesbian and an ally for LGBTQ rights.
So again, did you get that? She was arrested at an airport for assaulting this woman. And then they tried to claim that the cop was homophobic. And then come to find out, the arresting officer was a lesbian just like they were in that relationship.
The officer is lesbian and an ally for LGBTQ rights. Johnny would then say the world will receive the truth and that Australia could reopen their case against her to investigate. Now, I don't know if this is referring to when Amber smuggled her dogs illegally into the country, or perhaps it stems from when she severely injured Johnny's finger in a fit of rage in March of 2015. He closes with, I hope she's happy now. It's worth mentioning that her father doesn't dispute anything Johnny says. He simply tells him that the lawyers told her she had to or she would have no place to live in 30 days, admitting this was all made up so she wouldn't lose the penthouse. Johnny calls this absolute bull, telling her father Amber's lawyer asked for 2 weeks and he said she could stay as long as she liked. He told him his wedding ring is coming off now and it's just too much before telling David to feel better. Her father then sends a lengthy text to Johnny. He again repeated that the lawyers were telling Amber to say she was abused so she could keep the penthouse, and that he wishes he could be there to step in.
And again, think about this. This is the father of the girl that came up out of the damn sheriff's department with the paparazzi all taking her picture. Wonder how they knew to be there. But his concern is them getting back together and him telling him the lawyers made her do it, not you, a piece of shit asshole. How could you do that to my kid? None of that. How could you do that to my daughter? Blah blah blah. Nope, none of that's happening.
He quickly becomes very worried that Johnny had mentioned to Amber that they had talked, because Amber was very angry with her father, telling him he couldn't tell her anything and to off. He then expresses his desire for Johnny and Amber to talk it out, that he knows how angry Johnny is over this, and telling him that he has every right to be, ending it with, "I still love you, man." Quick question. What father tells the man who is being accused of abusing his baby girl that he has every right to be angry and that he wants them to somehow work it out? Probably the same guy who doesn't want the money well to dry up and within the next couple of months would be threatening to kill Johnny over money, not alleged abuse. Johnny would respond by telling him that he loved him too, and he never said a thing to Amber about them talking, that he doesn't throw people under the bus, and she can have her life now. David tells Johnny she probably grabbed his phone while he wasn't looking and saw that Johnny and her dad had been talking. So, does that mean Johnny's telling the truth yet again, that he went over to the penthouse simply to gather some of his personal belongings on May 21st, and perhaps while upstairs getting his things, Amber went through his phone? Certainly seems like a strong possibility, doesn't it? David then tries to convince Johnny there must be a way around the restraining order to try and get over it, saying he knows it's a lot to get over. Again, what father encourages the man being accused of abusing his daughter to try and figure out a way around a restraining order to talk it out and try and get over it? These feel like reasonable and fair questions. But let's move on to Johnny's conversation with Amber's mother, Paige. Late morning on May 21st, 2016, Paige sent Johnny a text telling him if he wasn't taking her call because of something someone said, that it couldn't be further from the truth. She tells him they are 100% solid, always have been, always will be. She goes on to tell him she'd hate to think that she's been a pawn in this game and that she simply doesn't play that game. Like Amber's father, she says that she loves him, always has, and probably always will, and to please call her. Johnny would respond on the morning of May 27, 2016, the day Amber would later emerge from the LA courthouse with a temporary restraining order. He tells her he is sorry he missed her call and that he hopes she and David are perfection and that he loves and misses them both. She responds with a short and simple text, but it is very eyebrow-raising. She tells Johnny, the man accused of abusing her daughter, that she loves and misses him and that she'd do anything for a do-over for the last year. For anyone keeping up, that's essentially the span of time encompassing Johnny and Amber's marriage and when most of the assaults she committed against him occurred. He tells her, "Me too, darling," referring to the do-over. He expresses his pain and love for Amber and explains to her mother that they're divorcing because of her violently assaulting him a month earlier after he was late for her birthday party. He tells Paige that he left when Amber got violent, and that is what he always did when she decided to get violent. He describes what happened on the night of May 21st, how he didn't throw a phone at her, and how Raquel came to the rescue as if he was some kind of a psycho the day after his mom passed away. He calls Amber the love of his life, but she can no longer exist in him and has gone too far perjuring herself. He says this is what he must deal with, and she is apparently back with her ex Taja. He questions what has ever been true or a lie, that he misses her and stupidly still loves her, and just couldn't make her smile anymore, which is all he ever wanted. He then tells Paige he loves her and misses her. Paige then says Amber is not back with Taja and never has been, telling him Amber loves him and wants to talk to him, adding that the lawyers have taken over, so like her father, starting to blame the lawyers for all of this. She then tells him we haven't texted, and follows up by repeating Amber has not been with Taja Trash.
Sound familiar?
And David would love for Johnny to call him ASAP or call when he can. She again goes after the lawyers, saying that they are going to this love up entirely, that Amber still loves Johnny deeply, that she heard about 6 hours from midnight until 6. She then tells him that she loves him perfectly. Quick sidestep. If you watched this video I made a few months ago, I use all sorts of evidence to outline the week of May 21st through the 27th and how I think it went for Amber. These texts from her parents to Johnny really reinforce a lot of my thoughts in that video that
And we can go over, all these if you like. There is one other one that to me highlights just how methodical she is. And again, shout out to Brian because he gave me permission a couple of years ago to do this. I've just held off doing it because, I don't know, so many people were covering it, but because of my last videos, I think it's important to highlight that people, yes, will make shit up.
Up until the wee hours of May 25th, Amber was having a good time, sneaking James Franco into the penthouse, hanging with friends, going to parties, and sending Johnny texts to try and win him back. But when Johnny also filed later on May 25th confirming that the divorce was happening and Amber's demeanor changed because she knew he was done being abused and she wasn't getting him back, she went forward with her sloppily thrown together abuse hoax. From this point, she angrily told her parents to stop talking to Johnny even though she and they had been trying to win him back this whole time.
Do you see this? Stop trying to get Johnny back. We are moving on to the next plan. Premeditation.
I'm sure her parents telling the man being accused of abusing their daughter, the man Amber claims,
I think we can still get him back.
In her sworn declaration to have lived in fear of, that they love him and the last time they talked to her she loved him and wanted to talk to him and that they could work it out, wouldn't help her claims much going forward. Now back to the text between Paige and Johnny. She tells him to please delete the conversation. She never wanted to hurt them, she only wanted to help, and she messes that up a lot. Following with, I'm always here for you and I'll just adopt you. He responds telling her a restraining order and a doctored photo are not love, and that he is shocked and disappointed, and he is not allowed to call, see, or text Amber, and that is so sad. I really want to point this out now because it's something that happened with her father speaking to Johnny, and
again, I'm going to point out too, I find it very nefarious that her parents are trying to get him to break a restraining order that could get him in some serious trouble. That's worrisome, especially considering what came out later about him worried about his money.
Is now happening with Paige speaking to Johnny and continues for the remainder of their conversation. Neither her father nor her mother are disputing anything Johnny is saying about he wasn't abusive or that Amber is abusive towards him. Paige then again blames the lawyers for making up the story about abuse, that Amber didn't want this, it was not her idea, saying it was the fault of the lawyers on both sides, repeating what David had said about getting kicked out of the penthouses if she didn't say it. Johnny corrects her and says a restraining order does not suggest it's both sides, and that Amber has plunged the most jagged dagger into his heart, that he has lost the love of his life. He tried so hard and it hurts so f***ing bad. She again tries to tell him Amber did not want to do this and it's all the lawyer's fault. He tells her Amber did it to save her after the press were killing her for filing 2 days after his mother died. She tells him Amber believed Johnny's camp, not Johnny himself, would kick her out, and that's one of the reasons Amber was wanting to talk to him, again ending with, I love you. He explains that he cannot legally text, speak, or see one another, nor can he be within 100 yards of the penthouse, so there's no way to work it out. He says he's stunned and her friends are leading her down an ugly path she may never recover from. He adds that he loved her so much and she is trying to kill him, before telling Paige, like he did David, that he is taking off his wedding ring. Paige then tries to convince him to go around the restraining order that her daughter just got by using other people's phones to talk. She then tells him Amber was so hysterical about her love for Johnny that she is considering suicide, even admitting that that sounds melodramatic. Again, she asked him to destroy the text between them like she was doing, and like so many times before, says Amber did not want to do this, but she was between a gun and a sword. Johnny, understandably frustrated with repeatedly being told Amber didn't want to do this and was being made to do this, stands up for himself by saying if she didn't want to file a restraining order and send a message to the world that he was some kind of a violent wife beater, then why go to the courthouse with a photo of her that looks like she's been abused? This is my life too, he says. What are my children and my children's friends supposed to think? I do not deserve this. They do not deserve this, especially not from her. Paige sticks to the story about the lawyers making Amber do this, that she didn't do it willingly, and that's why she wanted to talk to Johnny, you know, the man that she lived in such fear of, that she believed it was the only way that she wouldn't get kicked out of the penthouse. Notice again in this text that she fears Amber will find out that she and Johnny have spoken, that we didn't talk, and please never bring this up. Her panic about facing Amber's rage must have really been sinking in at this point, because in the same minute she sends a series of short texts, still seeking reassurance that Johnny will not tell Amber that she's texting him and saying these things, Paige being no stranger to taking orders from her daughter.
I'm her mom.
What's that?
I'm her mom.
Who? Oh.
Never make eye contact with pictures.
She begins with, "Please don't pass this on if you ever talk to Amber again. I love you, son. She said you had no idea what the lawyers were doing. Please, please don't use what I've told you from my heart against me. Please, please promise me it would end my relationship with my daughter. I'm so sorry." He tells her he would never do that, and in his defense, he didn't. He had these texts over 3 years ago and didn't use them against Amber or her family, knowing it would have painted a much different picture and a more accurate one while he was getting destroyed in the public and the media.
Again, remember that he held them for 3 years while Amber was going out on these podiums for the Me Too movement. She was going on all these press junkets. She was talking about being in that relationship where she was abused, all this. Knowing she was talking about him, and he had these the whole time and never released them.
Yeah,
until Amber took him to court, and then you had she had to produce hers and he had to produce his.
Now Amber has requested he submit any and all communications,
Yep,
so
there
here
you
they
go.
are. He follows up by saying he told her she could stay there, but now he can legally have no contact with her. He ends by saying, "My heart is broken, that she has revealed herself and her true feelings, sad, telling Paige, I love you." She ends with, "I love you too. Can I be your adopted mom? Good luck, and I can't wait to see the film." So to close this out, I have a few questions. Why were Amber's parents so worried that Amber would find out that they were telling Johnny these things, telling Johnny that Amber wanted to talk to him, that she wanted to work it out, or that this was all made up by her lawyers? This whole story was made up by her lawyers to keep the penthouses. Why even reach out and speak to this man? This same man who your daughter testified to being afraid of, that he would return and torment or abuse her at any time. Why say these things to him? When Amber testified in her 2016 declaration that her mother was the first person she confided in about the alleged abuse she suffered.
So at the very beginning, I would only tell my mom, somebody who understands this sort of situation.
So your mom, you told her that you've been physically abused by Johnny Depp?
Yeah, I would tell her from the almost at the very beginning. I confided in her. That's why I have pictures. Yeah.
Okay. So from the very beginning to this incident, May 21, you had confided in your mom?
Yeah, I think I probably hit the first few incidences, but very, very soon into it, I started to.
Remember, her mother said that the lawyers were making her do this, remember?
Okay.
Why, as her parents, were you not at all concerned for her safety? Why were you trying to tell her alleged abuser to sneak around, to try and find a way around the restraining order your daughter had just received? Why not once during your conversations with him did you not question or dispute when he proclaimed his innocence about how he was never abusive or violent with your daughter, or when he confided in you about how abusive and violent she is with him? Not only did you not question it, you comforted him, told him you understood how angry he was, told him he had every right to be. You apologized. You understood. Why? Why tell him repeatedly that you love him and miss him, calling him son and asking to adopt him? Then when it was confirmed that he wasn't coming back to your daughter, that all of your efforts were not going to bring him back, and you weren't getting any more of his money, you threatened to kill him for it. None of it adds up to anything but a hoax. All right.
Okay, and this is where I know this might be a little long, but I think it's important to show what premeditation is. Okay, and again, I know my videos can be long. I'll try to make shorter ones because retention time a lot of time on YouTube is very short, but I think this is important because I want to reiterate, this is someone that is newly married, by the way, and she's already planning phones around to secretly record what's happening in other rooms. This is the incident, I believe, that took place in Australia when Johnny lost the tip of his finger. This is the big one. But again, I'm going to reiterate, sticking phones in plants You tell me what's going on in that person's head.
Everything it once it begins, so you won't have to worry about that, but I will offer up a short intro to introduce characters, set the scene, add context, and points to focus on that I hope will have you much more informed and less confused as you listen. I cannot stress enough that this audio, secretly recorded by Amber Heard, takes place essentially in a crime scene, moments after, according to evidence, Amber angrily and violently severed Johnny Depp's finger, but now claims she was physically and sexually assaulted. I did a video on the evidence, witness testimony, and 3D recreations surrounding this alleged incident. If you want to give that a watch first, it might help you follow along better here. A small portion of this audio was reported on recently by the Daily Mail. This version will be uncensored and will use some of the same audio, but much of it has never been heard before. I've cut it down from hours of white noise, no noise, cleaning sounds, and non-speaking to get a much cleaner product, and one that I believe is much more accurate in terms of what is actually being said. Clean
You know what?
Apple
Why
use
don't we
audio.
do that?
If you want to
Why
give that
don't
a
we
watch
do
first,
this one? Let's see if it's still up there. Hang on a second. Sorry, I did a little scramble there, but I think he's got a good point, and then we can do the one next time. If you guys are interested, just leave me a comment below. Again, these are really good videos. So again, the evidence here is what I appreciate, and he does do a good job of kind of setting up the one I was going to show you. So maybe this one is probably better to play for the time, for reasons of trying to stay consistent. But this is again what happened. And I just showed you, she literally planted a phone and recorded all the audio of it.
Focusing on the events that were alleged to have occurred during March 2015. And there are a lot of branches from this and many connections to be made and lies being told. By the end of it all, you should have a very detailed idea of what actually happened. Recently in the UK, the judge presiding over Johnny Depp's defamation case against the Sun newspaper called a hearing to decide if the trial, originally set for March 23rd, would be postponed. Johnny's team was fine with this decision, given the current COVID-19 pandemic sweeping the globe. The Sun's team was not as understanding, using the caution being displayed to call Johnny a coward and saying that he just knows he'll lose. Throwing that caution to the wind, they said Amber would move heaven and earth to travel to the UK to give testimony, no matter the health concerns. By the way, California cases of COVID-19 are still climbing, making it at least the third or fourth highest confirmed cases by state in the US as of making this video. Also, if Amber is so eager to go to the UK to testify in the Sun's case, why is she continuing to try to have her own defamation case actually here in the US dismissed? Thankfully, as I began editing this video, it was finally denied. The Sun also said that she could give testimony via video call, and the judge thought that assessing key witnesses through all these different methods would be most undesirable, and I agree. I mean, did y'all see Amber struggle through this video of her 2016 testimony, eating and storytelling her way to not giving yes or no answers? I can only imagine if she were to hit a bump in answering questions through video call, it would be like... I actually want to use this video to debunk what the Sun said in this hearing. They've made a habit of using hearings to read aloud small portions of irrelevant text between Johnny and friends or family from various points in time to attempt to throw mud at Johnny, knowing that by reading these snippets aloud, they can skirt around the privacy of the UK court system and get the media to run with their sensational headlines.
The media to run with their sensational headlines, and I'm going to use the word media there lightly. I believe it comes in all forms, including on this platform. People that just like to throw things out there into the ether land.
Headlines. This time they chose to focus on snippets that they believe prove Amber's allegations surrounding March 2015. They also added to Amber's previous allegations, but lied about events and even dates in doing so. I plan to prove them wrong using real evidence, testimony, and facts. As many of you know, the main argument between the two sides is who was the abusive one and who caused the injury to Johnny's finger in Australia, which left a large piece of the end of his right middle finger severed completely off, while also having the bone in the end of the same finger broken. The Sun believes they read texts that prove Amber's versions of the events, including these snippets they claim prove that Johnny injured himself. I believe they're wrong and desperately reaching. Of course, by now, I'm sure you've heard this audio confession, recorded in the same year, but just months after Johnny's finger was injured, the audio in which we learn Amber admits to abusing Johnny, hitting him, punching him, throwing pots, pans, vases, and cans at him, while simultaneously getting angry at him for running away every time and not staying, and then mocking him and calling him a coward for not wanting physical confrontation.
No, she calls him a coward, a baby. She accused him of being weak. Oh yeah, in that conversation, he was basically saying that when she would become violent or get extremely angry, he would just leave. He would get up and leave. To her, that was him being a coward. So you tell me in that situation, who the person is standing up and walking out, and who's the person still yelling at them, saying that they should stay there. And in that same audio, she admitted to him.
For the sake of this video, let's continue to try to figure out why the Sun keeps sticking their collective necks out for Amber and have now willingly lied to the UK court when they clearly know all this evidence against her exists. One clue, and perhaps the biggest one as to why, I believe, is contained in one of the pieces of text they read in the recent hearing. In the summer of 2016, while Amber was publicly attempting to destroy Johnny with her allegations of abuse, he was texting back and forth.
Now remember, look, this is People. This is the New York Post. And by the way, this guy is saying nada.
With a close friend, Christian Carino. In one text, the Sun read aloud, in which Johnny refers to Elon Musk as mollusk. He tells Carino, she is begging for global humiliation. She's going to get it. She sucked Mollusk's crooked dick, and he gave her some shitty lawyers. This seems to me that Johnny is thinking Elon was backing Amber during the divorce and Amber's initial allegations. A statement from Adam Waldman, an attorney for Johnny, leads me to think he could still be doing just that. He stated that the Sun didn't even realize how much profound truth the text they chose to read aloud contained. He continued, Johnny was speculating that Elon was secretly helping Amber with her abuse hopes, adding that the Murdochs own the Sun newspaper, and a Murdoch serves on Elon Musk's Tesla board of directors. I decided...
You see that? This is where I'm telling you, people, corruption happens, okay? Right here. Right here. The Murdochs own the Sun, and the Murdoch serves on Elon Musk Tesla's board of directors. So I wonder if this guy right here would have any influence over this outlet. What do you think? It would be nice if this country, or hell, the world's media, would get back on the board of actual getting to the truth of things, rather than spreading misinformation because people like clickbait. How about we start telling the damn truth?
Newspaper, and a Murdoch serves on Elon Musk's Tesla board of directors. I decided to look into that. It didn't take much looking to make the connection. James Murdoch, son of Rupert Murdoch, who owns News Corp, which owns the Sun newspaper, is on Tesla's board of directors as one of its top investors. Interesting. So why would Elon still be helping his ex-girlfriend Amber, who he did officially date for some time after her divorce from Johnny? Believe it or not, the answer could tie all the way back to March 2015, and maybe further. You see, Johnny might have good reason to suspect Musk was helping Amber. You might recall how quickly she moved on with him. Soon after her public allegations against Johnny in the summer of 2016, Amber was spotted out a number of times with Musk, like in his hotel room while they were together in Miami, or even a club in London. Employees at the Eastern Columbia building also testified to Musk being a frequent visitor of Amber's at Johnny's penthouse in LA when Johnny was out of the town or country. Alejandro Romero, who worked security for the building, testified these visits, occurring a few times a week, happened late at night and overnight, as his shift was from 4 p.m. until 1 a.m., at which time Musk would still be with Amber in Johnny's penthouse when Alejandro's shift would end. How far back does Alejandro remember these late-night visits? You guessed it, March 2015. He testified that it was around that time Amber would come to him late at night, asking him to let her friend Elon into the parking garage. Eventually, Amber would actually provide Elon with his...
Now, could you imagine separating from your spouse and going through a pretty damn hot and volatile separation, to say the least, because of these accusations flying around, and then her remaining in the penthouses that you pay for? Remember her, he ain't effing paying my bills, effing blah, blah, paying for all these penthouses that she's still staying in, by the way, that held up her friends for free. And she's going out here and slamming his name in the media, while he has messages from her own parents that would look good in his camp, and yet he's still not released. And then finding out she's bringing up men, and that's a whole nother story. There's James Franco, Elon Musk, bringing up people to her penthouse that he pays for, his penthouse. And yet she's the one trying to say you're a bad person. Again, I'm trying to point out the fact that, yes, women fucking lie. They lie for all kinds of reasons. I'm not saying all of them do. I'm saying to me it does a huge discredit to the women that actually face SA or DV. And again, I wish I knew why YouTube didn't allow these freaking words on this platform. It pisses me off. But the women that actually are victim to those things, when you have people that are willing to come out and utilize things like the media that then further discredit them, their credibility, because they're pushing out bullshit. How about give a platform to the women and men, for that matter, because it seems like in this situation, he was the damn victim. When getting further even into that, he's always admitted to him being the one getting up and walking out when she becomes violent. But, you know, give a platform to the women that actually have fell victim to this shit, and not these people with ulterior motives.
On key fob for the parking garage and Johnny's penthouse elevator. It was during this time that Alejandro recalls Johnny being out of the country filming the latest Pirates movie.
And by the way, what a freaking name. Alejandro. I love that shit. Alejandro.
And thinking of how wrong it seemed considering he and Amber were married. He also specifically remembers these visits from Elon occurring when the news hit that Johnny had injured his finger in Australia in March of 2015. Recently, the Daily Mail ran a story with photos of Elon and Amber.
Oh, looky here. Look what this is. She just is so depressed. Oh, it's so tragic. She's burying her head into another man's chest while he's pushing the button to ride up to the penthouse that Johnny Depp's paying for.
Riding in Johnny's penthouse elevator. Amber appearing out of sorts in my opinion, attempting to cover what could be her naked body with a throw or a towel, while the two lovers snuggle close together. Not sure when this is from exactly, but it does add validity to the testimony given by the building staff that Musk was a frequent visitor, as this is the elevator that goes to Johnny and only Johnny's penthouse. They certainly seem comfortable, like this wasn't a one-time thing. Before we get to the next claims made in court by the Sun's lawyers, let's get a brief-ish rundown of what each side claims to have happened in March 2015. Last year, in Amber's first motion to dismiss the defamation case against her, she filed a lengthy declaration changing details surrounding previous allegations of abuse and adding more allegations to the pile. One such new incident was March 2015. I won't read or break down the entire thing. I'll save it for another video, but if you want to read it, you can find it on the Fairfax County website or just Google Amber Heard motion to dismiss. Amber claims that she arrived in Australia on March 3rd to be with Johnny while he shot the 5th Pirates movie. She says that sometime over the next few days, Johnny went on a sleepless 3-day alcohol and ecstasy.
And just FYI, the rendering of this, I think Brian did these, incredibly average, which there's a lot to be said for the time, energy, and effort that he did putting this together.
Fueled bender, physically abusing her daily, each night ending with Amber barricading herself in a bedroom to sleep. The last night of the alleged continual physical assault was extremely detailed. Amber claims that by nightfall, Johnny had hit her multiple times, shoved and pushed her to the ground, choked her and spit on her, busted down a door to a room she had locked herself in, threw cans and unopened bottles at her, and even handed her a bottle, which she claims she only threw on the ground as she refused to throw it at him, even when seemingly challenged to do so. The abuse she alleges occurred later that night only got worse. She claims Johnny pushed her onto a ping pong table, causing it to collapse under her. Then he ripped off her nightgown and choked her against the fridge. This would continue into the night, claiming she was dragged naked and barefoot across the broken glass that covered the floor and counter.
Again, I want everybody to think about it. She's saying he dragged her while she didn't have anything on across a bed of broken glass.
Countertops. She says that she would slip on the glass and be slammed against the countertop, constantly struggling to stand as her arms and legs and feet were repeatedly slashed by the shards of broken glass. She says that while Johnny had her by the neck and collarbone as he was repeatedly hitting her with the back of his closed hand, that he also smashed a plastic phone against the wall, and a piece of that plastic phone is what caused his finger injury. And then that she eventually escaped and barricaded herself in a room again and went to sleep. Didn't call or run for help, didn't bleed out, just went to sleep. Johnny claims a completely different event and circumstance.
And now, mind you, this is the same person that had her not one but two friends on the phone. Had one of them calling 911 after the incident happened in the house where he supposedly threw a phone at her. But all that can happen, and she doesn't call anyone.
Led to his finger injury, all caused by Amber. He also denies harming or assaulting Amber and denies going on a 3-day alcohol and ecstasy-fueled bender. This testimony is in a publicly available declaration, also on the Fairfax website, or you can just Google Johnny Depp declaration. Details were added in an amended filing in the UK courts, but nobody has those, as those are not public, although some details were reported in some media outlets. Johnny testified that after his lawyer discussed with Amber the need for a post-nuptial agreement, she went berserk. While attempting to avoid her, he went to the downstairs bar area and started pouring himself vodkas and drinking them, after having not had any alcohol in at least a year. She immediately followed and started throwing bottles at him, the first of which missed, sailing past his head and breaking the mirror behind the bar. She then threw a large vodka bottle which slammed and broke against the countertop where his right hand was resting. Upon impact with the counter and his finger, the bottle smashed, slicing off the tip of his middle finger and shattering the bones in it as well. After cutting off his finger, she would then take a cigarette and put it out on his face. In shock from the injuries, Johnny would go throughout the house using the blood from his injury and paint to write messages on the walls and mirrors. Not sure if any other property damage was caused as a result of his shock, but just speaking for myself, I can't blame a guy for finding another outlet to vent his frustrations and not harming the one he loves, even in retaliation. And I know it's nice to see visuals to better understand what happened, but it's also nice to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. So here's Johnny describing that very incident.
I mean, because I had a pretty nasty injury that I actually I had to protect her at the time, and so I said that it was caught in the door, one of these huge accordion doors at this house. That wasn't the case at all. She smashed, she threw a vodka bottle at me, and my hand was resting on the marble of the bar like that, and the first bottle went just past my ear, and the second one was a larger bottle, and she threw it from about this distance, and it smashed into the bar, which and this finger, who I now call Little Richard, was the tip of the finger was severed, and all the bone in here was completely shattered. I mean, it looked like Vesuvius. And then I got infections. I ended up with MRSA twice, so it was very complicated. I was trying to just get the finger back, you know, and then deal with the insanity of having had my finger chopped off by this woman that I was married to. Yeah.
See how easily the truth flows because, well, it's the truth. Now, a big dispute at the moment between the two sides is not only who caused Johnny's injury, but also when it occurred. At the recent hearing, the Sun added to Amber's claims, saying that she was also sexually assaulted as well, with Johnny allegedly grabbing her breast and mocking her in the midst of this assault. But here's why I know they're lying. The Sun's claims match Amber's. You know, the ping pong table, the bottle throwing, the tearing off of her nightgown, the choking against the fridge, grabbing her neck and collarbone and slamming her against the countertop. These claims, all initially alleged by Amber, are said to have occurred on the same date and time that Johnny had his finger injured. However, the Sun lied to the courts and told them that this occurred on March 4th. Johnny's attorney, Adam Waldman, stated that Johnny's opponents are so caught up in their lies that they can't even get their fake sequence of events, times, or dates straight. And he's right. Johnny's injury occurred much earlier in the day, before lunch, actually on March 8th, not late at night on March 4th. After suffering the injury, Johnny was taken to the hospital just a few hours later, received treatment for the injury, and was released the same day, but would not see Amber again while in Australia as she flew back to LA the following morning on March 9th.
Okay, and I am going to take a pause here and bring in that other audio. I think this is a good time to do it. So let me do that really, really quick. Okay, well, what you heard, he just talked about, described is the night that happened, where she flung the bottles, the end of his finger was severed, stuff. Well, unbeknownst to a lot of people, early on, she actually planted a phone after that took place, and the doctors came and all that to the apartment. I'm just going to let this play through because, again, it says a lot about maybe some paranoia going on when you're planting audio devices, things that record conversations that are happening. Go.
Voices you're going to hear. Amber Heard. Amber is the one who secretly recorded this whole thing for reasons only she knows. Taking place in Queensland, Australia on March 8, 2015, mere moments after she claimed to have been physically assaulted, pushed, punched repeatedly, choked, slammed, and dragged naked over broken glass, allegedly leaving her with a swollen nose, a busted bloody lip, and countless slashes all over her arms, legs, feet, and body. The Sun newspaper, who Johnny Depp is suing for defamation, has not only parroted these ever-changing allegations, but are now helping her by adding claims that she was also sexually assaulted during this alleged incident. Johnny Depp. Johnny has submitted evidence that he was the one assaulted during this incident, with Amber throwing a large vodka bottle, breaking and severing his finger, and burning his face with a cigarette. Dr. David Kipper and nurse Debbie Lloyd. Amber Heard would have you believe this duo, who specialize in addiction, were solely tasked with helping Johnny, but as you listen to the audio, you'll realize they are very much present to help deal with Amber, who is having what I can only describe, in my opinion, as a manic episode. Make note that during the entire audio, not only does Amber not speak as someone who just moments earlier had been physically and sexually assaulted, but these medical professionals, along with everyone else present that you'll hear, are not even acknowledging any existence of the horrifying physical injuries Amber now claims she received. And let me make it very clear, Dr. Kipper and Debbie Lloyd are members of Amber's official medical team as well. I think she doesn't want you to know she was receiving treatment for her own addictions and psychological patterns and tendencies. In fact, their goal seems to be to calm her from her episode with Seroquel, an antipsychotic which Amber took regularly. Ben King. Ben was the estate manager for the couple's rented home while in Australia. He also flew home with Amber to drop her off with her friends and make sure she didn't kick off again. Jerry Judge. Jerry Judge, who has since passed on, may he rest in peace, can be heard in the majority of the audio. He was Johnny's head of security at the time, and it is very clear that he, at this point, was already familiar with Amber's tactics of manipulation. You'll hear him talking to others in person and on phone calls with various members of Johnny's team. There are interactions with Amber in which she appears to be scrambling to tell a story about what happened, a story that has continued to evolve to this day and, at the time, included nothing of physical or sexual abuse. I'll offer some closing comments at the end. I would really appreciate it if you stick around and didn't just take the audio without understanding the information surrounding it. So here goes.
Understood what you are and who you are and how you fucked me over and make me feel sick of myself. Where are you now? That's just someone.
He's talking about his finger. There's still time to get it back on. Just a reminder again, this is an audio device that Amber planted.
I can't find the convict. I should write this. What? I can't find the convict. Here's what? All this, all what? I know, but it would have been, hello, it would have been where the initial injury, well, actually, it could be.
I'm saying that because it matters that none of these people knew they were being recorded. They would be speaking very candidly right now. The only person in this room that knew they were being recorded would be Amber Heard.
Here, too. So, I just, so you know, I'm going to tell her.
I'm sure Nathan. I just want a pen.
And just again, a reminder, if you're late, this is them showing up right after that. If you rewind the video a little bit, showing how Brian did a really good job of, he made the characters of what all went down, her being drug over glass and being SA'd and DB'd and, you know, all the claims that she made that he had done to her. This is, and he said that, you know, that she cut the tip of his finger off. This is right immediately that same, or I guess early morning hours of when that took place.
Majority of the blood, Debbie, is downstairs, but I went through that really carefully. Oh, wait.
They're looking for the tip of his finger.
There's a, someone tried to clean something up. You know, I'm really concerned because he's got a lot of pain.
A lot of pain?
Pain. He's got a lot of pain also. I mean, you saw it.
No.
But it's a very cool thing that's going to get infected. My reasoning, which may be wrong, should be where all the blood is, and that's down there.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it. Let me go give it some Hans and then I'll come back.
And Deb, I looked at it really carefully. Plus, Dad's down there. He couldn't see it either.
Okay.
Didn't find it. Oh. All right, Jared.
Throw it in the trash.
And I apologize. The audio is going to be everywhere. If you can't tell, I'm up here trying to crank it up for you guys because some of it's really low. So I'm going to apologize. You may have to manipulate the audio on your end a little bit so it doesn't deafen you or whatever. I think it's important though to try and hear that they are actually saying what these subtitles are saying that they're saying. I've turned these on as well, but you know, the auto-generated are horrible sometimes. And I just have to like to reiterate that the team that's been around Depp has been around for freaking years. These people have stuck with him for a very long time. I think that says a lot about your character as well. I mean, this woman can't even get her own parents to be on her side all the time. Her sister's employers come out and spoken out against how they manipulate people. She manipulates people, et cetera, et cetera. But his team has seemed to have been around him a very long time. So again, that would go to me to how you treat people.
My advice, and we're going to take care of it.
I rewind that.
My advice. All right, Jared.
Throw it in the trash.
My advice, and we're going to take care of itself. We're going to take care of it. They can't be together now. It's going to come back. So, however, Amber, I think she should be in Los Angeles with her support system. And this has to run its course. And this is not going to be 1 day, it's going to be 2 days.
How about She won't touch it.
And I'm going to say it again. It's important to me to keep reiterating. This is a woman that's claimed that this man has not only basically beat the shit out of her, but also art her, essayed her, all the words you can't say on freaking YouTube. And then you'll hear as this video continues what her main concern is about. It's not about this dude paying for it, not about them calling the police, not about her pressing charges, not about her screaming out what an abusive piece of shit he is. I mean, she's the one that set this audio device up, in my humble opinion, that proves that this woman wasn't sitting there laying over in a ball of mess because she had just been, drugged through broken glass.
I mean, I know, I don't mean to invalidate what you're saying, but.
No, but I'm just wondering if there's another person. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I asked those same questions earlier, and it all goes like that. Unfortunately, for that reason, like he's not going to be manipulated, he's a strong guy.
Yeah, is there a trash that has bandages in it?
It works, man.
Don't mess with the house, man.
Oh, yeah,
What's your speed?
Is he gone?
Yes. Which I feel like is maybe one of the first things we can't, we're not going to.
Now, look through this. I looked through it once. I didn't see anything that looked like flesh. There's a thing with it. But I bet it's in here. He's got this all over. I mean, he's going to get infected, so that we have to sell ours.
We don't have How big of a piece of skin are you looking for?
We're looking at this. We're looking at like a third of the tip of the third. And it's that, I mean, he's going to get cellulitis. That loves him, but we'll go through. Maybe she should have something.
Poor Johnny. Is that what you say about someone that just assaulted you? Huh? Or maybe the fact that you did something to them that now you're regretting. I never meant to hurt him. I didn't do it on purpose.
Can I give her a 50 is terrible?
What?
50 is terrible? 300 pounds?
Yeah.
She only usually takes 25. Is it okay with 50?
Oh, the Serical?
Yeah.
I'd be okay with 100, but give her 50.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is when the truth will come back and bite you in the ass if you're, and even especially if you're a manipulative person. She's the one that planted, again, this audio device. She's the one that recording herself right now of all the claims she made that he did that night, of her the one yelling out, I'm sorry, I love him, I'm sorry. Sound like, again, so this is what I'm saying when Tricia made her claims, where I don't give a shit if it's about the teacher or anybody else in her life. The fact that it's her words that she is using, and then that you don't have any evidence of the fact. This is why evidence is important. This is why these character witnesses of the people on both sides of the camp, all the way to the people that even worked in the building, to the police officers, all of it, to the doctors, again, her own damn family. That's not just circumstantial evidence. There is actual physical evidence. There is video evidence. There is audio evidence. Evidence is what everyone, I would hope, would base before you go condemn someone, that you would at least like to see a fucking shred of.
So I'll tell you what's suddenly happened. This is guilt.
See what he just said there? No, I'll tell you what suddenly happened with her. This is guilt. This is guilt. Well, listen to what she's saying. I'm sorry. I love him.
This is guilt. This is guilt.
She won't take 50. I gave her 25 and 300 and said you reassess in a little bit.
I don't want to go. If again, I'm going to push it and keep pushing it in. We just saw him go through her declaration of what had happened, what she said happened that night. Now we're listening to her yelling out, I'm sorry, and now she's the one saying she doesn't want to go. If you were if you'd been drug over glass and been beat the shit out of, ripped your clothes off and all this other shit, would you be the one saying that you didn't want to go? I'd be like, get me the hell up out of here. I don't want to go. See, right here. Look, all this shit has happened. All this shit has gone down. Look at that. Look, the truth shall set you fucking free. I don't want people talking. I don't feel like it. She's concerned about what people are going to say rather than what condition her husband is in. That she knows there's blood everywhere, and that, and she, again, remember what she does after the fact of how she spends it and blames all this shit on him. I can't lose him. Oh, really? A monster? In your own words? Now here comes this poor guy. Again, been with Johnny forever, rest his soul. Had been with Johnny for God knows how long. Yeah, do you think he was not familiar with this woman?
Ben's getting up as we speak. I'm saying, David's still got a bad job, so you know what's going on. She's made a point of listening, she can't listen. Because when I told Christine, obviously that she can't and he told me to she's listening, she wants to go where he is, she knows he's gone, she thinks she's going to do something else like that.
Did I do this to the whole floor? I'm sorry, did who do? Did who do what do? Did who did it didn't say did Johnny do? It says did I do?
And this was today, by the way, she's paying.
And remember at the beginning of this, supposedly this was the first night that apparently Johnny had had a drink in a year. So this man had a team of people. He had this. They're in Australia right now, as you can hear by the accent. So he traveled with the doctor and a nurse. To say that this, to me, that just is evidence this man was trying to stay sober and stay on the straight and narrow path. And there's another audio clip of this woman that's in her feeding him Xanaxes. I can play that one later on. We'll do that another day. And this is what, again, what you call freaking evidence.
over each one of his. I don't understand that. He's in welcome room. He is asleep. It's a street population, so he's good. And I'm talking to her.
And I won't lie, but because the love of my life is this little guy, I won't lie and tell you that I'm not thinking right now this is the incident where she brought these dogs over there. Where are these dogs at? You know, where are these damn dogs at? Legitimately, I'm sitting here thinking, where are they at? Sorry, I've lost my damn space, apparently. Okay, here we go.
She'll have to do what they're, but she hasn't given me a 5 months that she wants. She doesn't want to go anywhere. She wants to stay here and see it.
And I mean that to say, in my spare time, I've trained dogs. This woman owns a pair of little miniature Yorkies. Your little Yorkies are nervous dogs anyway. Could you imagine being falling in the middle of this shit?
Well, they're saying she's just happy. He's happy to go with her. But so, you know, although she's talking to me, and she keeps crying, she keeps holding my hand. She's made it quite clear to me. She said, I thought I trusted you, but I don't, because you told Christy that I called you on your fat arm. I said, yes, I did. And I said, she turned around and said, Johnny, I called 5 different times over the last couple of weeks, and his sister said that Jerry's all dead, but that's what she just said. I said, no, you said not to, but I'm not going to let you. I told you I'll never let you like to go like a job. So, and she is talking to me. She's obviously going up and down like a mirror. You must be giving them some minutes. Debbie said, and Kevin said she said that you were free out. I'm saying, no, I still got 11 on my pocket. Stay in the kitchen. And said, if she wakes up, she'll have to give her another one, and she might sleep through the night. So I decided what to do. I'm hoping she'll crack. I don't have anything here, but we all know I go up and get her on the plane in the morning. But Ben's happy, that's why we're back. But what we also do is that this guy's coming down.
Now here it comes. He said, we also need to have this place cleaned up. And he's going to go over how much damages he thinks has been done to this place. Now you've heard the audio of her saying, did I do all this to the floor? And I'm so sorry, and I can't lose him, and all this other stuff. I'm just going to speculate here or ask for y'all's opinion. Who do you think did the damage he's going to talk about? And I'm going to be fair here. The case could be made that this man has been a longtime employee of Johnny Depp. Of course, he's going to be on his side. Of course, he's going to make things try to look more positive in the light for Johnny Depp. He's been a longtime employee. But what puts the nails in the coffin to me of this whole case is that it's so many people from both camps that have came out and said that she's lied and that they didn't witness any of the things that she claimed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's where you build a case, not just based on what he said.
Well, no, you have a point. I'm happy to do so.
First, there's the devil.
I'm happy to go back and hand her over. And then with that Paige take its course. Well, I've always said to Steve that tomorrow has to be film-wise, has to be cancelled. Okay, he's in no fit state.
So now he's going to have to cancel something. You remember, these people don't realize they're being recorded.
I've seen you in bed. I've never seen this out. When I say he wrecked this place, I mean it's wrecked. The windows broken, there is a TV, I think she did it. Was a phone, it missed.
See where he says there? Because I think he knows how they're trying to calm her down. And he says, first he says, you know, it's the place is wrecked. And then he says, I know she did it. But look how much he lowers his voice and whispers that.
He wrecked this place.
Now listen.
I mean, it's wrecked. The windows broken. There's TV. I don't think she did it. It was a gun thrown. It missed. There's been bottles thrown. She
remember, he just said there's been bottles thrown. Remember, she tried to say that I'll just let it keep going.
She threw first. She threw a bottle at him. She did first.
She admitted that she threw a bottle at him.
Instantly, that, and I said to her, she also said to me, she said, I said, really beautiful things to do in my temper.
What do you mean? He wanted a settlement. Remember, he wanted her to sign for a prenup. All this apparently started over. He wanted her to sign a prenuptial agreement for.
He was shouting out, screaming out.
Go back and see what it says. She says, I disagreed. Remember, refused to do it in my temper, and he was shouting at her and screaming at her. Okay.
Shouting out, screaming out.
What she said.
Scratches on her left arm, which Debbie told me about. I've looked at it, and I've seen those scratches before on other people. And it's all on just self-inflicted. I'm convinced about it. Self-inflicted. At the moment, I'm working with the devil. God has laid it out because we'll be selling the car to get to turn around and go legal on this to get this whole thing calmed down. You know, I've been hurt this, I've been hurt that, he's trying to sit up and understand her. And she admitted also that she hit him first.
That she admitted also that she hit him first. She actually hit him in the face. Remember, these people don't know they're being recorded. He's not saying this because he thinks this is going to appear in some testimony.
She actually hit him in the face, but he has a small burn on the right-hand side of his face.
He has a small burn on the right hand on the right hand side of his face, which she says, I seen that yesterday. Remember, he said she put a cigarette out on his face.
Which she says, I see that yesterday. Which she said on Friday, he put a cigarette and put it into his own face with the cigarette because it was so bad. He's not well. We need to help him out in every way we possibly can, but we need to help. And I'm quite convinced she's got to money with here. She's sometimes listening, sometimes not. And I said, you can't help her. You can't. You two need to be separated. You can speak on the phone, but you need to leave them alone. By the way, we have now found a piece of flesh on the top of his finger. Okay? It's packed in ice. It's on its way back to, I'm always spoken to Mark. It's acting us and on its way back now. He's not wrapped up with heart. He just thinks it's John's medication. And I'm still talking to her. Well, the honest with you, she's responding to me. She breaks down every 5 minutes. But she's made it very clear that he has told me that the last 2 weeks, my job, and she said, I have to do it. He has told me that
she has made it clear, quite clear, that he has told her that I'm on my last 2 weeks of my job. Please, again, this man has been with him for years. She's just saying that to try and intimidate him. Please. So, you talk about gaslighting. We've talked about that before. She said, I've stood up for you so many times, please. But how could you let me down by telling Christy I called him a fat old man? She didn't stand up for this man. Are you kidding me? She's willing to lie about her own husband. She doesn't give a shit. She don't want to lose, their parents don't want to lose their cash cow, but she's going to tell him to try and make him feel bad. Manipulation that they're now trying to turn this back around him, that all this was caused because what she told his sister that she called him a fat old man. No, he wanted her to sign a prenup, and this is the reaction that took place.
Because I'm not the money for the job. And then finds that, she said to me, do you think he does it? that person put my cards out. Right, tell me what she's working.
Do you think he loves me? Remember, they asking him if he thinks he loves her. This guy does not know he's being recorded. That's what you're going to ask when you feel like somebody has done what she's claiming he did after the fact.
And I said he go because she said no, that's the it has to be so much stronger. Okay, she kicks off. Okay. So we will be leaving here tonight to go and stay in a hotel.
I just think it's so important that I keep highlighting for you guys or whoever else finds these informative, that yes, people will lie about DV, about SA, about all kinds of things. There are some sick and twisted people in the world. Am I saying by any stretch if that's on a small amount of the people that claim it? Of course, I'm sure it is. Studies have shown that anywhere from 2 to 10% are the ones that fall false reports. There are sick people out there. That's why evidence matters. And if not, then let's just show then anytime somebody makes a claim about you on YouTube or Twitter or TikTok or whatever, I guess we're just supposed to take them at their word, even though there could have been an incident where you just pissed them off or you broke up with them because, you know, you didn't feel the relationship anymore and they're mad at you. So they can just say whatever they want to try and ruin your life. And if you don't think people like that are that vindictive in the world, then I'd suggest you climb up out that hole you're buried yourself into, because they are out there. Again, I can show you case after case after case after case where that's the case. Well, that is the very case of what's happened, where someone's made false allegations in order to get back at someone. And even though the truth came out, that person's life was already ruined because of false allegations.
I'll see what Malcolm wants to do. I'll see what Malcolm wants to do. Because Malcolm just said to me, everything is not said. I'm not, it's not, so if he wants to fly home back to England, I'll send him. If not, I'm going to go to LA to get out of here. But it's all hit and miss. It's all like, and one minute she agrees, no, I'm not going to stay back. I'm not trying to get out of here to go to Paco. So she never hit tonight to go back.
There it is. There it is. He says he's been budgeting out, talking about the damages, $50,000 to $75,000 worth of damages.
It's $50,000 to $75,000 for damages. Just blood everywhere. And I'll in the ground up. For instance, these two are covered in blood stacks and we'll do it all off. The bed is upstairs. And on the bar, you break everything in the last week.
But again, remember who has been telling that we can confirm has told the truth in this situation, backed up by evidence. He said apparently that he had not had a drink. It'd been a year up until this day. She's claiming that he emptied the bar in the last week.
She wrote within 2 hours each.
See?
10 ecstasy tablets.
Again, and this is what I mean by holding people accountable. A person builds their own reputation by the things that they do and say in their life. They build that reputation. So if they have a reputation for being a habitual liar, then why would, if they've told 75 lies, why would you believe the 76th thing they said is the truth? Now, can a person change and find redemption and try to build back something where people can trust them and what? Sure they can, but that takes freaking time. And that comes with you actually changing. You actually not just spewing out the empty words and actually putting the action behind it. You can't be a liar for 10 years and then look up at the world with curiosity if you can't understand why nobody believes you. But you've done nothing to redeem yourself.
It's not the time to talk
I mean, and I will bring up again the case with Paige on this last instant, even with the teacher situation, where that family, went after that family. She didn't even take ownership that she did that she's the one that put out on her platforms for her audience to go dig the guy up, for her audience to go, telling him exactly how to find him and all that other shit, for another whole channel to release his wife's name, some stupid shit like that. But then she comes out and does a video and again does what she does best, which is taking zero responsibility for what she's done, but yet in the same breath will tell you that, oh, she's redeeming herself, and that whole thing that she did with that Courtney woman that called her out, well, that was in her past, or that was so long ago in her past. She's not like that anymore. Yet, 4 days previously, she is blaming everybody else but herself, who is the one that caused that action to take place. She wants to shuck all the blame on a Reddit post, on a Reddit thread. Does that sound like someone that has changed? Does that sound like someone that's taken personal responsibility for their actions, the things that they have done? And if there's truth to that, I wonder who's supplying it.
Because she said he didn't want me to smell it. When I turned around and told him he was drinking, could he calm down? He then started drinking.
When I came down to help him, what, lose the tip of a finger?
And then he picked up one bottles and threw a few away.
Yeah, I don't. And who has the reputation for flinging shit around? I can show you all those, the testimonies of her throwing shit, flinging shit, all that other stuff. But yep, it's real easy for so he did it. He's the one that did that. Remind you of somebody else I just mentioned.
Well, I know he's a certain moment president. Hang on a second. I don't disagree. I don't want to say she did it. Or he did it. Right now, what was her idea? And David's got done it. And David has said this. It hasn't fallen down the sink. Now, when I was thinking yesterday, she was done cross over. She doesn't smell a booze. So, if we became, I don't know, my first thing, not if I can tell you. If you believe that, and this relationship with me, everything is out. It's completely unacceptable. All she wants to do, all she needs to do is love. Let's leave it complete, ultimately, her everything. Get her the fuck out of here.
See, that he said, I'll admit to anything to get her the F out of here.
TV or no, I look at the copy of the TV. Oh, yeah, the copy of the TV. And the evidence. And I'll be honest with you. You do? I don't know why I think he was here. I think she did. Because he's obviously done there. It doesn't make any difference, does it, really? No. So I give a couple of minutes and have them finish packing. I need to know what's that. It was about the hotel, and you need to look for she up for it. Well, let me know because I'm going to Christian and try and run it. I mean, I just said just get it. It's not sure we need it. She's getting away out. Very nice one.
So what he said, listen, even when she's up there in her room, she listens to you. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware, but apparently there's also a feature that you can access if you have an Apple phone with AirPods. I've seen it done to where you can trigger it to where you can literally use your phone as a listening device, and you can have your AirPods in. You can hear what's happening, by using your phone as a listening device. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but I have seen it done.
She doesn't.
Now, think about if you just heard that and are trying to listen. He said she left the bag, didn't she? Now, that's kind of curious what's about to come out here in a few minutes. She's listening and she's doing something to what I just mentioned. Her hearing somebody talk about finding a bag or leaving a bag. See? Until I know he's going to be coming by to get his place clean. Yeah, so see what they're mentioning now is Coke, and I don't mean the Coca-Cola kind that you put with rum. You know what I'm saying, what they're talking about. So it's curious. It does make you feel like she's listening. What's going to happen in a few.
He's awake. I presume he's awake. That's what they're saying. Alan said they just left the hotel, so I'm assuming he's awake. But then to take him down there to have it done. And I will say, it is true. The quicker you get it done, the quicker it takes. It'll heal up a lot quicker. Okay? So, okay. Well, let's see. We can just get the room into my name or whatever. Or she room to shoot in my name, and then we'll see what she wants to do. Don't get me wrong. She's looking. She's changing her mind every 5 minutes. Okay? Yeah. I understand. Okay. Well, he's dangerous. I'll be honest with you. I do believe the way she is, we need, if she kicks on, we need someone strong like me and I'll help you with it. But I would say Ben has been upstairs for 2 hours. He's been talking to her and he has a way of just keeping her calm. What I do not want to do at the moment is jeopardize what we're doing with Johnny because his finger comes first. And you know what? Seriously, though, if she has to stay here an extra 24 hours to get him sorted out, fuck it, she stays here for another 24 hours if we have to. Because Johnny's more important. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, the way she's talking, she's breaking down in crying, but at the same time, she's packing a bag, so she knows what she's doing. I don't think she intends to do anything stupid. She keeps saying, I don't want to leave him, and we'll say, look, he needs some time on his own. And then when he's on his own, we'll remind him, and then you two can talk on the phone, and then you can come back. But no matter what happens, she needs to leave Australia to get the fuck out of here. She really does. And that's Kitty's idea about it. She said she's doing at least a bottle of vodka, a bottle of tequila. At one point, she reckoned that she was doing 10 exercises. And the back.
And say this is again where but it's look at the source. Always remember when you're talking about a given situation, who is the source? Are they reputable? Do they have a history of telling the truth? Have they lied about something 15 minutes ago? You know, to me, if that doesn't start mattering in today's society, then, you know, anybody can say anything about anyone. And we're just supposed to damn believe it.
And the other thing is it's made quite clear to me because she's like, I still love you on a number of occasions and I trust you, but I don't trust you anymore because apparently I went after the joint yesterday and said, you're with a fat cock now. I didn't say that. And she said, yes, you are, because Christy told me because she said to Jerry in London. And she asked me, and I said, yes, I do. Hello. Okay, we're still talking. I'm trying to help her and clean up as much as we can. She seems to be quite happy. I'm asking her. And she seems to be happy if Ben travels with her. Now, she's also saying to me, if I stay here, do I promise that I'll keep her up to date in what's happening to him? And I said I would. She's still upstairs. She hasn't come down yet. We think she might be sleeping. Now, my question is to you, are you happy for that to happen? So I don't care either way. I'm happy to travel to LA and drop her off. Christy, I'll be honest with you, she knows exactly what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
She knows exactly what she's
Most of the time, manipulators do know exactly what they're doing.
doing. No, I'm saying Amber, she does. She's not a fool. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Now, yeah, pick them up and bring them through. We get a car and then take it to the apartment.
Okay.
I've asked her, would she go and see her shrink? She said she would. Give this medication and in a week, in 2 days, into a 7, whatever. So you're doing the usual thing of breaking down the tears, saying, shall I go, shall I go, shall I go? And what I know? Yes, yeah, shall I leave? They don't want me to see him because at the moment, that's the problem. And at least she's listening, but what I would say to you is that I know Nathan's words to come in to try and get fixed with Stephen.
Here is where he talks about taking the surgeon. I just jumped a few minutes up because it's about to get to where Amber's there. He has a conversation with her, and I'll remind you about the conversation about the bag and the coke and all that. This is they're at the hospital waiting for the hand surgeon to come in to try and fix Johnny's fingers.
At the hospital waiting for the hand surgeon to come in to try and get fixed Johnny's finger. So that's okay, all right? All right.
See, here she's like, oh, I was packing. She knows she can't put that in her luggage and take that back. So she's going to have to cover. You do what you do when you're manipulated. You try and cover. Oh, look what I found in my room. I just found all these baggies, or whatever else. He asked, how much did you find? She said, oh, empty bags. How many? 2.
2. One had
Now remember, apparently they was supposedly gave enough medication where she should be sleeping for a couple hours. The one that looked crushed up used to be crushed up. How would she know it used to be crushed up? Think about this. If it's she just said they were empty. Now she said there were 2. Then she's saying one that looks like it was crushed, what used to be crushed up. If it's empty, how do you know that? Just take a couple seconds to think about how you would know if they're empty. Now he's hiding it from her, yet she's the one that knows exactly what happened. She said missing empty bags. Now look, all I was popping was look at all this shit. Xanax, Adderall, ecstasy, and hallucinogens. That's all I was doing. I was just doing this.
On top of Xanax, Adderall, ecstasy, and
That's all. Just, I hate that he hates me. I hate that I'm the one that has to deal with all the hurt. See what I mean? See how this gaslighting goes? First it was, I'm sorry. Oh my God, I don't want to leave him. Oh, I can't lose him. And I hate that he hates me. Now it's, I hate that I'm the one that has to deal with all the hurt. Excuse me. He's on the way to a hospital to try and have his tip of his finger sewed the hell back on. Who's dealing with all the hurt? You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you were offended by me saying something hateful to you. I'm sorry that you were offended. You're like, that was my apology, huh? I hate that I'm the element that really sets it off. That doesn't probably help matters that you're the one, flinging shit around. I'm saying.
Element that really sets it off. I hate that, Jerry. I don't want to do that. I really hate it.
My heart's broke and I feel like I'm not going to get him back. I'm going to remind you again. This is the woman that later claimed that right now, she's suffering from being drugged over broken glass, assaulted both domestically and sexually, and yet she's the one that's scared she's not going to get him back. Think about that.
I don't think that. That's my own question. I don't think that for a second.
No, I was trying to make that a very calm, rational point.
Yeah, I was trying to make that a very calm, rational point, and it's hard to tell somebody. Remember, she said the same. She has said the same thing before. She'd set up her phone in the middle of their kitchen. He had just found out his mom died. Again, I think I mentioned this. Mom died. That he had been stolen from by his management team of millions of dollars. And then she comes downstairs, plants a phone on the table, and then says, well, what are you talking? Nothing happened. Nothing happened this morning. I was being nice to you. After she knows all that shit just happened to him. If you don't want to say that that's somebody trying to push someone's buttons and then setting up a camera to try and get something on video, I don't know what to tell you. Again, remember that island? Invite me over there to it, please. We might be alone, but that's cool. And if you have to keep reiterating that the way you talk to someone is rationally and stuff, most people don't have to qualify that they're trying to have a rational, calm conversation unless they're trying to gaslight into you believing that that's what you were doing because you have a reputation of flying off.
Rationally and stuff, and then of course it's came off when we got to that point where we're in the same office.
Then of course, a fight. Before we can even process, we're in the same awkward position. Before we can, okay. Guys, I'm going to try and help point this out. I feel stupid. I brought all my stuff over here. I shipped things. Reminder, he is on his way to the hospital to try and have his finger reattached, the tip of his finger reattached. And she feels dumb because she had her, clothes shipped over. Not, is he okay? Oh my God, can you call and make sure he's all right? Are they going to be able to reattach it? But, no. She mad because her purses, she brought all of her Dooney and Burke's over. Think about that. And then here we go. I effed up. I feel so stupid. Remember the claim she made? Part of the job. You imagine that job? Yeah. Ring. Here you go. Listen. Could you ring? Hello? Hello, Johnny's assistant, ma'am. Yeah, we need to get you over to the hotel condominium ASAP. Well, okay, what's going on? We just had a blow up fire. I think I've chopped the end of his finger off by throwing a vodka bottle at him, and the hotel's all bloody, and we got paint on the wall, on the mirror, and I think he needs to go to the hospital because we can't find his finger. Yeah. Could you imagine that job?
Throw this on the couch. I reckon we roll this up. Yeah.
Imagine. I'd be like, ma'am, I apologize. I'm just the accountant. Hey, people are crazy. Now look. Sound of tape peeling off. Potential recording desk falls. Whoop. She has walked her ass down and says, listen to this.
Jerry? Since we don't have the hotel yet,
So there you have it. I hope you have a better understanding of what actually happened. What I find to be interesting, among many other things, is, again, how nobody, including Amber, is talking about the severe injuries she now claims she received. Nobody is talking about a busted lip, or a broken nose, or slashes all over her body and feet and legs and arms. It's almost like those injuries didn't exist. You would think if she was injured, like she now claims, somebody would be getting her medical attention as well, but instead it's Johnny who ended up in the hospital due to his injuries, while everyone...
Now look, there's the tip of his finger. Here's the x-ray of it. Look at it, Mr. right here. And if you zoom in, look, the side of his face right here is where it looks like a cigarette was put out on the side of his face.
Else were to get her home peacefully in hopes she wouldn't explode again along the way. It's also interesting how much her story and stories have evolved and changed and contradicted themselves, from Johnny punching a wall and hurting his hand to this taking place over a 3-day stretch now when it really happened on 1 day, and even Johnny taking 10 ecstasy tablets in a span of 2 hours, and now she claims he took 8 overnight. And then there's the outright lies being told in Virginia and UK courts by Amber and the Sun, stating this occurred on March 4th when it was really March 8th, and on top of that, claiming this happened at night when it actually happened during the AM hours. So much counter evidence has been stacking up against them. Not to mention, as evidence has come to light that has shown that she was the aggressor and the one who assaulted him, causing him a severe injury, throwing her entire claims into question, she is now adding sexual violence to her allegations. In my opinion, it's very clear with all the evidence that has come out over the past few months that Amber Heard is not being truthful about what happened during her relationship with Johnny Depp. We've heard her admit to abusing Johnny, mocking him, saying she can't be rationalized or reasoned with, and that she gets so mad she loses it. And, if you recall, Ben King, who was tasked with flying Amber back to drop her off to her support system, and so she could see her shrink and to make sure that she didn't kick off or try to manipulate him, was asked twice on the flight back by Amber, have you ever been so angry with someone that you just lost it? Seemingly already trying to get him to justify her violent actions. And now we have the immediate aftermath of an incident, a crime scene that I believe points to more lies from her, including the amount of covering up it took to keep her violent episodes hidden and the lengths it took to keep her calm. I think that she, as she would describe it, got so mad she lost it. I think she cut off the end of Johnny's finger just 1 month into their marriage, by the way, and then was scrambling to place any sort of blame on him while also screaming and crying because she knew she had finally done something that might open his eyes and she might actually lose him. And she secretly recorded the whole thing and submitted it along with a much less accurate transcript back in 2016 during her initial claims. Why? I don't know. Maybe she was hoping that she could just cherry pick from it and use the inaccurate transcript to apply more public pressure to Johnny at the time. Even though the audio paints a much different picture. She was panicking, knowing her actions could cost her everything she believed she worked so hard to make happen. I believe she committed a crime, a violent assault, and yet wanted to stay there to be with this man who she claims had just violently, physically, and sexually assaulted her, to take care of him while he healed from his injuries, and that she was the only one who could. There's so much about her ever-changing stories that just wasn't adding up, and now I truly believe I understand why. It seems to me that this has always been a case of flipping the script, and so many people bought her version of the events at first. But I'm thankful the truth continues to take giant leaps forward. It makes me wonder how much longer the Sun plans to stand behind her in the face of these truths.
And by the way, over in the UK, he lost that hearing with the Sun. They dismissed his case. He was suing them for like defamation because they had wrote an article calling him I think it was like a wife beater or something was in the headline. Even, I mean, it's, yeah. So if you don't think that, to me, believe that some of these people work in conjunction with another police, we all know that's not the truth.
Thanks for sticking around, everyone. My next video hopefully won't take as long to produce. This one was one heck of an undertaking. Next, I plan to begin a long exposure of Amber's key witness, Raquel Pennington, and the
Yeah, and I think that'll be the next video. I'm going to highlight basically what I was saying before about the her side of the camp. Like if you're looking for character witnesses, you would think that it wouldn't be so easily torn apart what they were saying, what they were testifying to. Okay, the truth is easy to repeat. You remain consistent when you're not making stuff up. Your story doesn't change when you're telling the truth. Do you know how many stories, I mean, somebody, they'll blurt out something, they don't really plan it out, then they find out the timelines aren't consistent, so they'll fudge something, change something, manipulate something here or there. Again, I think it's important, and I hope you guys support it, that I kind of highlight these videos again that Brian did, because he did such a freaking good job at them. And again, I'm doing this to try and nail home the facts that, yes, people will lie, people will manipulate, people will make things up in order to become a victim for attention. Remember, she was riding on the curtails of the Me Too movement. I have an old article about that where even the person that she was affiliated with that movement dropped her because of all the stuff that was coming out, how many times she lied and manipulated people. But with that, I'm going to end this here. My next one, I'll go over to friends and what a lot of her friends said. Again, I can't say thank you enough for the support. And by the way, I think shout out to Alex, and I cannot remember, I think it was Moody that was in the chat last night over on Mysterious's chat that gave me a shout out in there. That was very kind of you. I really appreciate it. And again, as soon as I'm capable of going live, and it seems like maybe that will happen sooner than later, then I will be glad to do so. And if you can, that Michael Jackson video I sent out yesterday doesn't seem to be getting the traction, especially that my first one, I think in like the fourth one did. But I think it's that video in itself was important because I don't know how many people realize that man was never convicted of anything. What those two witnesses that are the two, quote, victims that came out and their correlation to the court hearing, especially one of them in the very beginning, the 1993 allegations, why he paid, his insurance company paid that settlement, things like that. To this day, to know that people still think that there was some kind of evidence against Michael Jackson, that bothers me. It really does. And if you watch that video, it shows you and highlights even people like Brooke Shields that said that, he was always acted childlike, and thinking he never had a childhood, blah, blah, blah. Okay, until next time, I'm going to highlight what our friends kind of did and break this apart using Brian's videos. He does such a good job. Remember, if the people aren't providing you with facts or evidence, then it's all just hearsay. And anybody can say anything about anyone and have all kinds of different motives of doing so. And thanks again for the support. I will put my link down in the description if you want to support me. If not, now you're just giving me a thumbs up and a sub is support. So I appreciate it. Have a good day, everybody.